I thought I would explain something. I'm usually up real early, more like 4 o'clock, but I go to bed real early. 'Cause when it gets dark, there ain't much I can do. So then I'm up, ready to go. But a lot of times in the morning, early, I'll kind of catch up on what news went on in the previous day. And I was looking and I see that there was a thing from Tucker Carlson. Now I don't watch that a lot, but I happened to see, because it's on Fox, and Fox has kind of fallen into disrepute, let's say. But I watched it, and it was kind of odd for him. He was really down on that Sidney Powell, in particular. Not on Giuliani or any, but he was really down on Powell. Because she wouldn't come on his show and give him all this evidence that he really wants. Well, he wants the scoop, kind of. And that ain't how it works. You can't try something like that in the public arena. That has to be in a court. So you can't be giving out the evidence like that. I mean, that's just nonsense. But he was really down on her, and this puzzled me until I started looking further, and I see that they had done a news conference, the legal team. And in this conference, how the way the legal system works, you have to go through the whole series of courts in order to get to the Supreme Court. They have to go through all these lower courts. Now the problem is all these lower courts have been packed with all these people that were running on Soros's money. It would be interesting if you were to actually make a chart showing all these people, but that's what you have to work. So when they go to one of them, then they're turned out. That's normally how you go. To get to the Supreme Court, you have to go through this whole series. And the Supreme Court is the last of the thing. So when people say, oh, they've filed so many cases that have been dismissed, well, yeah, you have to have that. I mean, that's just part of the procedure to work your way up. But they bumped into this deal. They're dealing with all these people who were elected on Soros's money. So they have to work their way through them. And now, in this news conference, she mentioned that's Soros' problem. And to do with the voting machines and all. There was a lot of money that changed hands, and this money was coming from Soros. But when she mentioned that, there again is the name you do not speak, Fox News jumped on that. Now you have to understand, Tucker Carlson, he's just a talking head, sort of. He's reading off a teleprompter. There's none of this that is impromptu. I mean, he has a script that he follows. You could make a robot do, like you've seen these Japanese news announcers that are actually robotic. I mean, you could make a robot that would do Tucker's job. The writers put this stuff up. It's on a teleprompter. Tucker reads it out and just simply adds all the exaggerated facial expressions. I mean, that's all he does. He is a dedicated Fox guy, and Fox is definitely not your friend, okay? You have to understand that. So as soon as Sidney Powell mentioned Soros's name, boom, that was it. You notice they didn't go after Giuliani, they didn't go after Trump, they weren't, none of this. It was all to do with Sidney Powell, but it was all because she spoke that name. It's funny, I watch, I get a kick out of Rudy Giuliani. He's having the time of his life. is like the old war horse, and he's got the bit in his teeth, and this is the last battle. He's just having a great time doing this. And people underestimate him, which is a good thing to have. It's always good. It's a good position to be in when people underestimate you, and that's exactly what they're doing with Giuliani. They are underestimating him. But he's got that bit in his teeth, and he ain't quitting. But you can poke all the fun you want at him, and it goes right off him. It doesn't really matter to him. He's going to do what he's going to do. But I thought it was funny that they decided, well, the thing to do is to go at Paul. No, that's a very hard thing to do. I don't think they're going to get any traction with this, but they're trying to kind of undermine this whole operation that way. It isn't really going to work. They're not going to get anywhere with that, but they're trying. But that is the whole reason that Tucker went after her, was because she said that name. If she wouldn't have said that, it'd have been fine. But that's where, I know they were talking about a lot of money that changed hands to Dominion that was actually Soros' money. But also that's where, like I say, all these judges and a lot of these public officials on the Democratic side of this thing were all elected with Soros' money. So there's no big surprise. And Fox is, like I say, they've got this attitude with Soros. So I'm sure it came down, you have to go after her. They can't leave her be on this sort of thing. Because she just refused to. She isn't going to give. You can't do that. You can't be given your evidence. I'm sure for him it would be a scoop. For Fox, if they could get the evidence on and put it on their show. But that isn't how it works. The judges frown on this sort of thing. And like I said, it's got to go through. There's a whole procedure to get where you got to be. So it doesn't surprise me that in fact, that's why when people say, how come Trump isn't saying anything? They're expecting him to be up to his usual antics. And I'm sure his legal team advised him to lay back, because he can do nothing but harm the case now. If he starts tweeting all this crazy, wild stuff, he can't do that. He's got to just lay back and let his legal team handle this. And they're handling it. But people shouldn't be in a big rush, like I said, Tucker wants the scoop. But this isn't the kind of thing, you don't use it to make headlines. Granted, Giuliani and this Poe are an odd pair of heroes. It's the last people you would choose to actually try to save the country. But that's what they're doing. So just leave them go at it. Let them do their job. I have a great deal of faith in them. I'm not going to second guess them on this sort of thing. If they say they have the evidence, I trust that they have the evidence. Let it play out. It's disappointing, Fox's attitude in this, but like I say, something has gone on with Fox, in particular with any reference to Soros. And that's what got her on this thing, when she brought his name up. I don't know what the situation with Fox is, but I know something has changed. It came apparent to me that the time when Gingrich was on and he said Soros' name, boom, big shutdown. Dead air, big shutdown. So there's something going on there, but I don't care. But this same thing has gone on in the court system all the way up the line. There's this Soros involvement. So until you get to the Supreme Court, you're really not going to get anywhere. And the only way to get to the Supreme Court is to go through all this crap first. So just let this play out. Don't get too wild.